Happy Sunday and welcome to Craft Roulette 165. We are going to be playing around with this stamp set again, which is the Undersea Friends from Cat Scrappiness. And I wanted to use this one mostly because I hadn't used the whale and I really thought the whale was cute. And I think we're going to do a little ink blending on the bottom of this particular piece and try out a stencil I haven't tried out, which is this one, which you can't see well, but is like a scene builder thing, which just came out. And I'm thinking we can do sort of a oceany kind of thing with some of my favorite blue ink ever. So let's see. I'll actually put my magnet down here. Because I think I want the sentiment up here for reasons you'll see in a minute. And what sentiment do we want? Always hard to see this not on white. I think have a whale of a day seems appropriate for what we're doing. And I did pre-cut a whole bunch of stuff, so I will walk through that in a second. But let's just get this stamped out because I will, as you can see, I'm still playing with my space cats because I think I want to sort of leave that stamp set out until I have enough colored pieces for my June Kendra's card challenge. But I'm just going to use a little bit of blackout ink, which I've been actually really liking. I believe the re-inker is still sold out, so I put in an order for another pad. But anyway, and using my pressure tool. I actually got another company's pressure tool to try, so we will see how that works. We got not a great imprint, as one would expect for this stamp. Neither of these stamps I've used before. Make sure we get, there we go. That is pretty good. I think I'm going to hit the sentiment again. The other piece looks fine. And really with clear stamps, there's a coating from the manufacturer that basically has to wear off before you can use them really well. So let's set that over there to dry. I always keep my ink off pad around just so we can clean the stamps, because if I don't clean them initially, I always forget and then never clean them, which is a problem. I really need a good stamp organization system too. So if anyone has strategies that work well for keeping all your stamps organized, let me know. You can let this dry for a minute. Let me just walk you through supplies. I guess I should talk parameters first, and then we can talk about supplies. So it's a card with flaps, which we'll get into in a minute. Winter colors. As you see, we have some of our teals and blues. So I went with an ocean scene, but pretty much anything teal or blue, I think, to me is a cool color. Let me grab our color wheel. So I got a new CMY color wheel, cyan, magenta, yellow, because to me it seems to be more correct. Anyway, so to plagiarize Amy Schulke, you'd put yellow at the top, basically, because the sun is the warmest thing. So anything down here we're pretty good with. So like your violets, your blues, your blue-greens, even cyans and magentas are probably more cool tone than, say, oranges and yellows. Anyway, and we're going to do a really quick color on this guy. Oh, I am just all over the place today. And parameters, right. So we got through two. Last one is a children's story. I thought of Jonah and the Whale, which I think is actually a Bible story, but they had a children's book of it when I was a kid, I remember. Like, one of my grandmothers was quite religious, so I think I had a lot of, like, random Bible stories, because why not? Anyway, so that was the one that came to mind, and I wanted to do a sea theme anyway, so, you know. So I am trying LV Handcrafted's new version of this double Z-fold card because it has flaps, and it's a cool card and not that hard to do. So this is just a top folding A2 base. Cut a piece of cardstock of your choice in half the long way and then fold it at 5.5 inches. And then you cut another full panel, so you basically just cut your remaining piece in half, and that turns into this, which I mitered the tabs, but this is basically a glue tab, and it attaches here, and then you have these two flaps. And the idea is with these two flaps, this piece then can sort of sit on top and become a hinge, and then we decorate everything. And I do need to cut a little hinge piece for this top panel. So maybe I will do that right now. Oh, and as I'm just all over the place today, the last parameter is tile. I am going to, I'm not sure what kind of cardstock this is, but basically what I'm going to do is, because this is less wide, going to go to 1/2 inch and score this, and then go to a full inch and just cut it off. I'm actually really liking this Stampin' Up! Paper trimmer I got from my friend Brian, because it's, I like having the score thing on there too. And it's really nice because you have a full, like 12 inches if you want to do a, like, non-perpendicular score line. And I learned recently from some of my friends in a live stream actually that when you score, you should always make the score lines the mountain fold, or, if you're doing a valley fold, score from the other side. But anyway, this is just a little glue tab to sit under here so that this panel can flip up. I cut little tiles for the inside basically to handle the parameter that is a tile. Although I'm going to use this as my background pattern paper. We could do tiles across the top too. How would that look? I think that would look kind of neat. Because what I want is this piece to basically flip up and down, and then I'm going to use the relax as sort of a stop. So we are going to probably get everything down, and then except for this piece, and then we'll kind of play around with where this piece will go. Anyway, so that's what we're doing. I am just going to give this a quick color. I just grabbed two blue colors, B00 and B something, 34, because I just want to kind of do a little bit of a color on the whale, but not like a ton. Just going to mostly focus with the darker blue on his tail. Then I'm going to blend out with the other color. I'm going to just sort of leave the sea spray as is. I'm going to follow most of the lines here. Just to sort of highlight those. And I'm going to also follow the lines on his fins. Going to probably concentrate more color in the fins, because I feel like fins and tail being dark makes sense to me. And then the rest I think we could just kind of blend out with this much lighter blue. I'm going to leave the eye white, and I'm going to leave the sea spray white. Not 100% sure, but I am pretty sure this is a Hero Mill paper that I'm coloring on. And I just sort of winged the marker stuff here today. I didn't actually go back to my swatches to look at it, but I think it's going to work out just fine. Going to probably, yeah, I think he's looking good. Or she, I guess. Just sort of coming back. I'm going over the darker places a second time, and wow, I'm not in the lines, but it should be fine. Just make sure there's nothing like here where it looks like and then putting basically additional layers over the tail. But I like how that is. It's a obviously a very easy and quick color to do. Um, and you won't see the backside because it will be part of the card. So let us deal with we have a couple things to glue. I'm not quite sure what we'll do with the tiles, so we'll leave them to the end, but we can get our word done, and then we basically are going to tape it here most things, except maybe this piece, because this one's going to be a little trickier, I think. I guess not really trickier, but grab some tweezers to make my life slightly easier. I want to make sure most of this is down, but again, it doesn't have to be like the most super perfect thing ever. And if we get a little glue elsewhere, we can always relax and just sort of wipe it off. Anyway, and yeah, so I'm going to just sort of see where I want this. Looks like we used way too much glue, but it will dry clear and relatively quickly, because this is the line co I'm a fan of. Let me just get my hands clean, and then we'll work on putting the rest of this together. And I'm just sort of blotting off any excess glue. The tail on the relax got a little wonky, so we can just, oops, get that a little back to where it was. There we are. Yeah. That is perfect. You can just, the nice thing about this glue, this particular glue, is it gives you some working time, but also, like, this is getting pretty close to dry. So I will emboss, just push down a little bit with my bone folder. I like this because the Teflon doesn't really pick up the glue at all. But of course, if you prefer other tools to uh, brayer with, essentially, you can. I like how that looks. I did cut this white out of remaining parts of the base card, so basically all this came out of one sheet except this I cut out of more coloring paper friendly cardstock. So let's get our card together and our pattern papers on, and then we can come back and put this on at the end. Going to do exactly what we just did with the word. I'm just going to get a little glue on the glue tab, and what we just want to do is have the glue tab aligned to the bottom of the card, and then you can essentially see how that goes, and then you can essentially just sort of squeegee it and with your hand or other tools, but this one's pretty easy. I'm actually thinking I want my tiles in here. Does that make sense? Because then you could write your message in here. I'm going to put pattern paper here. So let us see if we are lucky enough to have a... here we go. I love that these like jewel tools are like glittery so you don't lose them everywhere. But anyway, let us just put a little dab of glue in each corner, and we will put our tiles on. And then we need to be at least semi-careful that we don't glue the whole card together, but, you know. I'm just going to do... Oops. Oh, Good enough. It's a bit tricky to get these exactly square because with the more porous cardstock, they tend to adhere really fast. And if you look, these are of course from Michaels, and on the back side, they're actually like normal paper. They're only foiled on one side, so that also gives them a fairly short working time. But it's also a handmade card, so I'm not like that hung up on it. But if you do get close to perfect, that's always nice. But the idea here is that you'd basically write your message in here with your little tiles. Because I guess that makes this almost more like a pool than the ocean. But anyway, so the next piece we want to get on is we want to get our big piece of cardstock. You could do this with tape or glue, and this is going to kind of matte, which means you can potentially see the edges of the glue tab the way I have this set up. The original version Lynn did, you would cut this pattern piece to cover the whole uh, base of the card. But I don't know. This is kind of my take on it. So I just want to get that aligned. Let's move this up a little. And again, we just sort of squeegee out. And that is adhered. And then, so when this thing is done, basically it's going to stand up like this, only a little bit better. Move that out of the way. And then we will grab our last piece of pattern paper that's going to go here. And again, you could do this with tape or glue, but since I have glue here, I've been doing it with the glue. As you can tell, this is actually the whale pattern. Or I should say, this is the same pattern we cut the shadow layer with. So the neat thing about these double-sided papers is like you just get a lot of use out of them. And I really like how that blue and white looks together. I may actually change my mind on some of this, but the idea is the relax would be sort of here somewhere, and then this would potentially sort of tuck under it. So you'd basically only adhere the base. I guess we would want this up a little bit, and then we can embellish it. But then, yeah, I guess folded flat, it would look like this, and then we would interlock here. So we'd want this pretty close to the top. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Because you'd want when folded flat, well, I guess this potentially could be in the back when it's folded flat. So trying to figure out how this would work. So we'd probably want this about here, and then that would sort of have the relax centered. Probably easier to glue this part down. So that would be here, I guess. That would be about, even with this second to the lowest layer. This guy I think I can just put on with tape because that'll probably make our life easier. I'm just going to put this basically right under where the stitching is, and then this should just grab. Yeah, I guess we'll do glue because I just ran out of tape. But I find often like it tape adhesive makes getting some of these things together a lot more straightforward. Anyway, let's play around with this and figure out. I think we want that. Yeah, we want, as I said, we wanted this sort of even with this second layer. So I'll just hold that and put it down, and There we go. And that gives us some room to fold. So the idea would be you'd kind of fold this in here. Oops. Did I draw? Oh, I just dropped my glue cap. Well, we can put that there so we don't lose that. I did want to play with that stencil. Oh well. So basically we would want the relax to sort of be center here, I think. So we will do that, put this guy down, get a relax glued on. And then we can probably still edge it with that stencil I wanted to try, and then we can decorate the whole thing. So what I want to do is basically just put glue on the bottom of this so that the top remains unglued, and then I'm just going to put it right in the middle, and of course, push down. Whoop. And the good news is, even if this doesn't quite work the way we intend, it'll still be a really cute card. So I'll let that dry because I don't really want to fuss with it too much. We can definitely cap our glue because we are almost done with this card. And then we can, there we are. Not sponsored, but I love these Karen Berniston bottles. Like, this is the only glue bottle I've ever had where I haven't clogged the thing within like a week and had to throw it out. So, if for no other reason than it helps the environment, I am a big fan. So let's get this stencil out of here. Basically what I want to do is see if these are not cut, but I think we can maybe just slide one of these in. Yeah, I think this will work. Yeah, because what I want to do is just sort of ink edge this piece to sort of get the same wave effect. So you could, of course, cut these apart, and that's probably the intention, but um, I'm just going to play with it like this. And all I'm really doing is I just want to add a little ink in, and I also want to really see if we can highlight that stitched edge, because that is one of my favorite things about these stitch dies is that, like, it's not super cut in, but like if you ink edge it, it stands out a lot nicer. Anyway, I think that worked. Let me just, I'll use our ink remover again to just clean this off quickly. You can see this thing started out white and it is getting a lot of love. I don't know, it's one of those, I have a refill, but I may or may not. I haven't decided if I want to keep that or not. If I want to like use the refill or do something else. I think I do want to do a little embellishment around the sentiment, I think. Do that, and then maybe do one more of these littler ones. There we are. These are the epoxy dots. All this stuff is cat scrappiness in this particular card, other than the cardstock. But these are the enamel dots, and they come in a whole bunch of colors, and I love using them because, as you can see, they're like really low profile, so they go through the mail nicely. Anyway, I'm a big fan. If you don't try any other product, I would definitely try the dots. But anyway, so you have an area you can write your message here, and then we'll see if this stands up or not, and I think this actually will work. This is a little too short to stand up the way it would need to. Now you could put a piece behind this, right? Because essentially the issue is, well, I don't know. Yeah, you would need to stand up, so, well, I don't know. Like if you, I feel like there's a way this would work if you sort of contracted it the right way. Well, I don't know. It sort of works, but anyway, you do have a nice area to write on here, and then you have this floating panel, which I do kind of like as an idea, even if you don't tuck it behind. Uh, I guess I would just need to burnish some of these a little bit more to get them to have a tighter fold, which I didn't do initially. So this stands up a little bit better. There we go. I do like the floating panel. This kind of turns into the opposite of the card I made originally. And then the thing I like about the floating panel is when you want to set it up for transport, you can fold it back here too. And then, you basically have your rest of this. I don't know. I think I will actually glue this down because I think this works better. I think this works better like this. And then you have sort of this secret place. Okay, let's do that. And I'll do that afterwards, but there we go. I really am liking this. And I like that. I like using this sort of inner fold as just sort of a secret place to write a message. Well, maybe not secret, but like it's kind of a surprise, right? Where normally you'd assume that you would write one on the inside, but you could just write a little message. You just write a little message here, and then you can, be good to go. Anyway, this is the card I made. Wow, that's looking a little weird. There we go. There's the whale. There's the relax. It's sort of Lynn's card, only if I did this again and wanted this to really tuck in, I think this panel just needs to be a bunch longer because, like, when this is standing up, the distance it spans has to be much more. So you basically want it to be like almost down here or a little bit longer. But what I'm going to do is just glue it down, and then we're going to have it look as like a little peekaboo, a little hide and seek. Anyway, thanks much, and have a great one.